10 dispatch. Got emergency traffic.
It was a seemingly ordinary Saturday in Dallas, Texas, until chaos shattered the calm. An urgent call crackled across police radios. There was an active shooter at Methodist Dallas Medical Center. Inside the hospital's mother and child ward, gunfire had erupted between a lone assailant and hospital police. Reports soon confirmed multiple casualties. The situation escalated quickly, with the suspect barricaded inside a room, raising fears of a potential hostage crisis. What unfolded next was a harrowing chapter marked by violence, tragedy, and acts of profound bravery. Among the lives lost that day were Jacqueline Peekquat and Annette Flowers, two individuals whose absence is deeply mourned by their families, colleagues, and communities. This account revisits the sequence of events, beginning with the background of the individuals involved. At the center of the incident was a couple whose relationship had spanned nearly 8 years, marked by periods of reconciliation and separation. Their story and its devastating conclusion would soon come into sharp public focus. Nestor Hernandez and Selena Villatoro first crossed paths in 2014. At the time, Hernandez had recently completed a 2-year prison sentence for simple robbery. Their connection was swift, and Villatoro soon became entangled in his troubled lifestyle. Just 1 year later, the pair found themselves arrested and ultimately convicted of aggravated robbery, a crime that shocked the local community. The incident involved a female victim who was bound, blindfolded, and robbed of her vehicle and approximately $3,000 in cash, which she had collected during a fundraising event. Hernandez and Villatoro were apprehended shortly thereafter, still in possession of the stolen car and several of the victim's belongings. Both were reportedly intoxicated at the time, and Villatoro later admitted to having injected heroin earlier that evening. Following their arrests, both pleaded guilty to the charges. Hernandez received an 8-year prison sentence, while Villatoro was sentenced to 5 years. She was released first, with Hernandez following a year later, after serving 6 years on parole. Upon his release, the pair resumed their turbulent relationship, one that would take another dramatic turn when Villatoro became pregnant. During his parole, Nestor Hernandez faced multiple violations. One involved a vehicle accident for which he was found at fault. More seriously, he was caught attempting to tamper with his state-issued ankle monitor. Despite these breaches, he remained on parole, raising questions about oversight and risk assessment within the system. On the morning of his newborn son's birth, Hernandez was granted special permission by his parole officer to visit the hospital. Under Texas law, parolees must obtain clearance to visit another convicted felon, Selena Villatoro in this case. The hospital's police department was also alerted to his scheduled visit. That morning, Hernandez dressed and left for Methodist Dallas Medical Center in his SUV. After getting lost en route, he stopped at a convenience store where he purchased a 22-ounce can of Steel Reserve spiked watermelon malt liquor. When he entered the hospital, he was carrying the open container, but far more concerning was what remained hidden on his person: a concealed .380 caliber Smith & Wesson Guardian pistol. As a convicted felon on active parole, Nestor Hernandez was legally prohibited from possessing a firearm, let alone bringing one into a hospital. Yet he did both without hesitation. Surveillance footage later confirmed that he casually stopped at the nurse's station to use hand sanitizer and retrieve a face mask before proceeding to Selena Villatoro's room. What followed unfolded with alarming speed. Hernandez, visibly intoxicated and increasingly agitated, began arguing with Villatoro, who had only recently given birth. The confrontation escalated violently. Without warning, he struck her multiple times across the head and neck with the butt of his pistol. Moments later, healthcare worker Jacqueline, Jackie Peekquat, entered the room as part of her routine rounds to check on new mothers and their infants. A single gunshot rang out, muffled by the room's heavy door. Just outside in the hallway, Sergeant Robert Rangel was preparing to take a report from another family regarding missing personal items. His body-worn camera had already been activated per standard procedure. As the gunshot echoed, Rangel turned toward the sound, only to find chaos erupting.
What happened?
Hey, watch out, man, watch out!
110 dispatch. Got emergency traffic. 1030, a man with a gun up here.
Hernandez, now panicked, appeared to make a desperate attempt to flee the scene. Sergeant Robert Rangel fires a single, precise shot, striking Nestor Hernandez in the leg, but the situation remains far from resolved.
All I could see was a black pistol.
You see it right now?
No. He walked in the room. He was coming out. I believe he had the gun in his hand. I shot one time and he went back in the room.
Rangel is acutely aware that the room still contains innocent people, including new mothers, newborns, and medical staff. Just moments earlier, a nurse had passed him and now lies gravely injured. Every decision carries enormous weight. Rangel knows he must de-escalate the situation, delay further violence, and keep the shooter focused on anything but opening fire again.
Okay, listen, we can work this out, partner, okay? All I want to do is just get the people outside, please.
Thanks to Rangel's immediate call to dispatch alongside numerous 911 calls from within the hospital, law enforcement response is swift. Within minutes, more than a dozen officers arrive and begin ascending to the 4th floor of Schenkel Tower.
Everybody Shut up. Thank you.
Bravo for 40, running 4th floor. Hey, where did you hear the shootings?
Bravo for 40, repeat, you're breaking up.
Stand by. ¿A dónde? ¿A dónde?
Allá para aquel lado. Allá para aquel lado.
Hey, where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at?
It's right there. Come on, rush it down.
Where?
That way, that way, that way, that way.
Bravo for 40, I'm gonna need a shield on 4th floor. Bravo for 40, does anybody have a 40 millimeter?
We don't need a shield.
Yeah, and a shield.
Where's the shield?
Hey, is he up there? Do you have eyes on him?
Use cover.
Hey, do we have eyes on that guy?
Walk out with your hands up. Walk out with your hands up. Move up.
Hey, flat out. Hey, go to the right hand side. All of, hey, this unit needs to come to the right.
Keep coming to the hallway.
Hey, get some cover.
We got a funnel here.
Hey, does this wrap around? Does it wrap around?
Where the critical scene is unfolding. Their objective is clear: flank Hernandez and neutralize the threat. But the hospital's layout, designed with patient privacy and medical efficiency in mind, presents a significant challenge. The architecture offers only one point of access to the room where the suspect is barricaded. There is no back entrance, no alternate route. Adrenaline surges as the officers realize what must be done. The breaching team readies itself at the threshold, knowing that once they enter, they will have mere seconds to act and prevent further bloodshed.
All right. You see where that sergeant's at? I don't know if you can keep an eye on her. Who has the 40 mil? Hey, stand by.
Leave the slammer.
Hey,
Leave the slammer. Stay light. We'll call it up. We'll call up the slammer if we need it. Hey, shield coming up, guys. Hey, we got a shield coming up. Hands up. Slow it down, guys.
slow down.
Shield's up.
Hey, Sarge, get out of the way.
Sarge, come here.
Do you see him?
He's falling down past her.
Okay, get the female out first.
Female, get the lady out.
Get the female out.
Come out. Arrest team. I'll be arrest team.
Come out of the room right now. Come out of the room.
Get gloves on. Let's go.
Keep your hands where we can see them. Come out of the room.
Come on. All right. Keep your hands by your sides.
Okay, I'm moving in. Hey, is this the...
Can you move, ma'am?
You got gloves? I got gloves.
Let's move in. Here are my cuffs. Cuff the guy first. All right, guys. Ready? Rifles move past. Rifle move past them. Watch a step.
Hey, does this room connect? No, it does not. I need one nurse. One nurse. They're all out. Okay, at least we need a surgeon or something, okay? Bravo 440, we have the suspect in custody. Start PES and start homicide as well.
Coming out, guys, coming out.
Hey, get him down. Hey, who got a...
Both Nestor Hernandez and the newborn child are extracted from the hospital room alive. Miraculously, the infant is unharmed.
Hold on, let's get him out first. Stand by.
Yeah, nurse. Come out, guys, come out.
Hey, whose car is he going to be placed in? Okay. Hey.
Hey, which leg, bro? Yeah, I'm already on it.
Bravo 440, we're going to need to shut down the entire fourth floor, labor and delivery. Officers at the entrance of the fourth floor.
Up top, all the way up top.
Move this out of the way so they can get to them.
Hey, officer down key. Somebody got officer down key?
Yeah, I got one.
Here. Hey, do me a favor. Let's secure this.
What do y'all need? Somebody with shears. We need shears.
I just want to confirm it's suspect in custody. Suspect in custody at 11:20.
Ralston, you're making the calls?
In the chaotic aftermath, medical personnel raced to stabilize the scene, ensuring the safety of the child, attending to the mother's injuries, and rushing Hernandez into emergency surgery. Regardless of the violence he had just unleashed, the medical team adheres to their oath. They fight to save his life. But the weight of the tragedy is palpable. 2 healthcare workers have fallen. Jacqueline Peekquat lies dead inside the room, and despite all efforts, Annette Flowers could not be saved from her fatal wound. The loss hangs heavily over every staff member on the floor. Meanwhile, law enforcement begins the painstaking task of securing the crime scene. Officers work to protect evidence, while hospital staff relocate patients and families who had been trapped during the shooting and lockdown. Downstairs, entrances are sealed, and the entire facility shifts into full emergency mode. Doctors trained in trauma and critical care are summoned from across the hospital. The emergency department is filled not just with medical professionals, but also with officers from the hospital's police unit and the Dallas Police Department. Together, they form a wall of protection, determined that no more lives will be lost on what has become one of the darkest days the hospital has ever seen. Nestor Hernandez is rushed into surgery for his gunshot wound as the building remains in a state of high alert.
All right, clean your water, pressure back. Do what we can.
Come on!
Hey, stop! Yes, because you lost hold. Stop. You're okay, I have your phone in my pocket. Hey, got NSRLR. Thank you.
Can't put the wire.
I need that. No, I'm fine with that.
Back upstairs, homicide detectives arrive on the scene, followed closely by forensic teams. Their task is immense: to meticulously document every detail, preserve critical evidence, and protect the dignity of the victims amidst the chaos. Every movement, every measurement, and every photograph taken may one day be scrutinized in a courtroom. A single oversight could jeopardize the integrity of the case. Eventually, the most urgent phase of the crisis draws to a close, at least for the moment. Police officers return to their posts or begin the process of writing incident reports. Hospital staff, though shaken, resume their duties, tending not only to the innocent, but also to the man responsible for taking 2 of their colleagues' lives. And beyond the hospital walls, the city of Dallas begins to learn the full weight of what transpired within one of its most trusted institutions. The families of Jacqueline Peekquat and Katie Annette Flowers are notified. The devastating news brings with it unimaginable grief for loved ones who served their community with compassion and whose lives were cut short in the very place dedicated to healing. Nestor Hernandez remains at Methodist Hospital for 4 days as he recovers from the gunshot wound to his leg. Under constant guard, he is eventually transferred to a correctional facility to await trial. Dressed in a hospital gown and using a walker, he is returned to custody. Nearly 2 years would pass before he would finally stand trial for the events of that tragic day. At trial, Selena Villatoro took the stand alongside Sergeant Robert Rangel, who by that time had been formally honored by the state of Texas for his courage and composure during the shooting. Villatoro was asked to recount Hernandez's behavior when he entered the hospital room that day.
I thought he was just drunk. That's why he was like being sentimental. Like I didn't really think nothing of it.
Did he appear to you to be drunk or intoxicated at that time?
Oh, yes, sir.
What was it about him that made you feel like he was intoxicated?
I mean, just the way he was talking. Just, he was crying, talking to him.
She testified that when Hernandez consumed alcohol, he often became emotional, sentimental, even tearful. But on this occasion, his demeanor shifted rapidly. What began as sorrow quickly turned to anger and jealousy.
I guess he gets done talking to them. I think I hear like the doors like from the closets opening. Like he's like opening the closet doors, slamming them, and then next thing I know he like throws the little sliding like desk that they have right there. He throws it and then he like hits me in my head with the gun, and he was telling me like just I don't know, just I think he told me like who's here or something like that.
According to her testimony, a confrontation was triggered after she accidentally knocked over his beer, spilling it across the floor. Hernandez erupted. As his rage intensified, she instinctively pulled the hospital sheet over her head in fear.
So he indicated that you had the sheet over your head and he began to hit you in the head with the gun. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you know when he had entered the hospital and specifically into your room that he had a gun at that point?
No, sir.
Did you see where he pulled the gun from?
No, sir.
Okay. You just felt him hitting you with the gun?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall how many times he struck you with the gun?
I think the first time just once.
Okay.
Just once.
Is he making any statements while this is happening? Is he saying anything to you?
I think he was just like saying like that he had told me to stop playing with him, and he was just telling me stuff like that we're gonna die today.
Villatoro sustained a laceration to her head from being struck multiple times with the pistol, along with visible bruising to her neck. The weapon, a small, lightweight .380 caliber pistol, was easily concealed, and in this instance likely contributed to the relatively limited physical trauma she suffered during the assault. Nonetheless, the emotional and psychological toll was far more severe.
So just going back to when the defendant is assaulting you with the gun, he's hitting you with the gun, and he's making these statements about killing you all and killing anybody else who comes inside the room. Was the door open or closed at that time? Do you remember?
It was closed.
Okay. And so at some point, did somebody else come inside the room while Nestor has the gun?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. Who was that?
One of the nurses, I think she was supposed to come in and check on me or something.
Okay.
She came in and that's when Nestor walked up and went behind her and I shot her.
Okay.
Jacqueline Peekquat fell backward the moment the bullet struck her. Death came almost instantly. It's likely she never even realized she was in danger. Her entrance into the room was routine, just part of her daily rounds checking on new mothers and their babies. She had no reason to expect the violence that waited on the other side of the door. The court would later hear Nestor Hernandez's version of events. He claimed he had come to the hospital at Selena Villatoro's request to sign the birth certificate of their newborn. According to him, he brought the pistol with the intention of selling it later that day, a statement that, if true, only deepened the recklessness of his actions.
Tell the jury what happened once you got inside that room that changed the whole situation. Could you tell them what took place?
Okay, well, I walked in. My son, he was asleep in the bassinet. I went in there, rubbed his belly. I was like, "Hey, little man," and so I went and I walked into the restroom. I used the restroom. I walked out. I proceeded to walk out. I started looking for the gun, right? I started looking for the gun. She was like, "What you looking for?" I said, "The gun." And she was like, "Why?" And I said, "I got it sold." I said, "I talked to dude last night. He wanted to buy it." And so she's like, "All right." So I'm on my phone also, you know what I'm saying? Like she said, she said sentimental. I don't want to sound sentimental. I'm more expressionate or something. I like telling people that, I love them and stuff. I'll drink a little bit or do some drugs. I'm like, "Hey, man, I love you, man. I'm glad you're in my life," type of thing. You got the aggressive people and then you got the lovers, I guess, or whatever. And so
when you're sitting there having this conversation, could you tell the jury what it was that made her start pulling the blanket over and refusing to talk to you?
I don't recall her putting the blanket over her head.
You don't recall her pulling the blanket over her head?
No,
What do you recall happening when you were having this conversation with her?
I ended up sitting down, and I was like, "Man, get the gun and stuff." And so I was like, "So I'm about to sign this birth certificate and leave." And so I'm texting my brother. My brother called me. I talked to him briefly, my nieces and stuff. We started talking. She tried to talk to me. I was like, "Shut the fuck up, don't talk to me," you know what I'm saying? Woo, woo. And she's like, oh no, she's like, "Man, you're drinking," and woo, woo, woo. And I was like, "I don't want to hear it, man." I was like, I ain't been drinking like that. And she's like, "No, you drinking," woo. And I was like, "Man, shut up." I was like, "Don't even talk to me." She was like, "Nah, you're not supposed to be in here drinking," woo. I was like, "Don't nobody even know this is a beer. And it looks like a Arizona or something." And she's like, "Nah, man." She's like, "Man, they're gonna come in here and see and whatever." And so I was like, "Bro, I don't even talk to me, bro." I said, "Yeah, you really nasty." And she was like, "What you mean nasty?" I said, "Yeah, you really nasty," you know what I'm saying? And she was like, "Well," and I said, man, my shit hurt, bro. I'm just signing this birth certificate and I'm finna leave. I said, "Man,
He went on to say he suspected Selena had been unfaithful. In his words, he believed someone might have been hiding in the hospital room. He accused her of infidelity, saying he had contracted a sexually transmitted disease and was convinced it had come from her.
And so she's like, "Nah, man." She's like, "I ain't fucking nobody," and da. And so she gets on her phone, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "Yeah, you need to tell whoever you been fucking with that you got that shit, you passing out that shit." And she was
like, "What are you talking about?"
I never had an STD before that, so I mean, I knew it was something wrong. I didn't know exactly what it was, but it was.
You knew something wrong.
When I urinate, it hurts. Yeah.
So you're talking about her messing with somebody else, telling her that she needs to tell people that she's probably giving them STDs too?
Yeah, I don't know, because she ended up getting on the phone. I was like, "You need to be calling them people and letting them know you passing out that shit."
And what happened as a result of this conversation?
You said what happened to the result?
Tell me what happened next after y'all are having this conversation.
The nurse, she walks in. So she walks in, and Selena, she gets up and she's like, "Hey, I need to use the restroom." So when she gets up, I get up with her.
His testimony revealed a man more concerned with blame than accountability, a pattern that only became more pronounced as the trial continued.
Are you talking about the woman that ended up getting shot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys are having this conversation, it's going on. Up to that point in time, have you ever threatened that you were going to kill Selena? Or
No, sir. No, sir.
Did you ever threaten to Selena that you were going to kill anybody coming in that room?
No.
Did you have any intention of harming anybody?
No, I didn't.
Tell the jury what happened, and you just described how you got to the point where the nurse came in the room, Selena wants to go to the restroom. Tell the jury what happened next.
Well, she gets up and I get up with her, and she's walking. No, when the nurse came in, she said, you know, good afternoon or good evening, and I said it back. And Selena gets up and she's like, I need to use the restroom. She had told the nurse, I need to use the restroom, but I got up with her. And so I was like, why you need to go to the restroom with your phone? And she's like, because she, and then the nurse asked, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, everything's okay. And then she said, no, it's not. She's like, I don't want him here. This ain't even his baby. So I slapped her. So when I slapped her, the nurse was like, oh. And so then Selena hit me, and we got into like, whenever I got up, I had the pistol on me too. You know what I'm saying? I had. She ended up, before that, Selena had handed me the pistol. And so I had the pistol right here. It's a little pistol. So when I got up holding it too. And she hit me, and so, you know, I kind of like, you know, I had the pistol in my hand. I don't think the nurse knew I had the pistol in my hand. And so we got into like a little brawl or whatever, and that's when I hit her. I ended up hitting her with the pistol. And that's when the nurse, she was like, stop. She got in between us. And my shirt, the black shirt that I had on, it was already kind of like over me. It was already like, 'cause she was like putting on the shirt too. And so the gun went off. That's what.
And who was pulling on your shirt?
Selena. Okay. But the nurse tried to stop the fight. She got in between us, and she yelled stop. She's like, stop. And next you know, the gun went off. And we stopped. Everything slowed down. You know, I was kind of confused for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And the first thing that Selena said, she was like, what did you do? You know, and I was like, no, man, it's your fault. This is your fault. You know, because the nurse, she was kind of like leaning forward, and then she ended up falling back. Boom.
Did you intentionally shoot this nurse? Or?
No.
When questioned about Jacqueline Peekquat's death, Hernandez claimed he never intended to shoot her. He insisted the gun had gone off accidentally and that she was never a target. But the evidence told another story. And when asked to explain the subsequent shooting of nurse Katie Annette Flowers, his answers became more evasive.
What's the next thing you recall happening at that time?
I panicked. I panicked. I was like, shit. And Selena, she started screaming. She's like, oh, man. I couldn't even understand what she was saying. And I opened up the door, and I opened up the door, like with my right hand, I opened up the door, and I shot out the door. Boom, boom, twice. I shot out the door twice.
Did you see anybody outside the door when you shot?
No, I didn't even look outside. I just shot.
What was the purpose of that?
I was so panicked. I just shot somebody. You know what I mean? I was real panicked. It was like how can I say this? Like a example would be like if my mom or like somebody's mom has like a favorite coffee mug that she drinks coffee with every morning, and you drop it and you break it, and when you broke it, you panic. You're like, oh, and your mom's like, hey, what was that? And so you don't want her to see. You know what I mean? Like you don't want her to see. You just panic, and I try to, like, I guess make another distraction or something. I wasn't I wasn't thinking right. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just wasn't. No, I didn't even see the second nurse in the hallway.
Whether he saw her in the hallway or not, his bullets found her, fatally wounding a nurse who had rushed to respond, trying to help.
So I went back, and the nurse laying on the floor. Selena, she's screaming. She's like, "Oh my gosh!" And so it's all hectic. I'm kind of panicking. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I'm like shit. And so Selena, she said, "Get help." And so I turned around. When I turned around, I walked out the door. I tried to walk out the door. I felt the heat just through my leg. Boom. And I stepped back. I jumped back into the room, and I looked down, and I was like, they shot me.
In the end, Nestor Hernandez's testimony did more than recount events. It revealed character. A man who deflected blame, denied responsibility, and minimized the irreversible damage he had caused. And in doing so, he showed the court exactly who he was.
By now, Selena has the baby. She had grabbed the baby at this time, and she's holding the baby. And I'm like, hey, give me the baby, give me the baby. And she was like, no, no. And I'm like, give me the baby, man. I was like, man, give me the baby, man. Give me the baby. Put him in the crib. Because the crib, the bassinet, is by the restroom. And so I'm thinking, I was like, man, look, they're about to come in here and start shooting, man. They're about to shoot us. And she's like, no, no, no. I wanted to put him in the bassinet and put him by the restroom because I was like, man, they about to come in. They already shot me. They about to come in here and start shooting.
What happened at that point in time?
I started feeling the pain. At first I didn't feel the pain, but now I'm feeling it. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, And so I went around the bed. I don't know if I sat down in the closet or I sat down in front of the closet. And I was like, shit. And Selena's like, she steady screaming. And she's like, what the fuck? This lady, she right there. I was like, man, shut up. I was like, shut up. So I'm like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I said, man, I'm about to just go out there. I'm just let them kill me, man. I said, all right. And she was like, what? I was like, I'm not going back. And I was like, I'm not finna spend the rest of my life in jail.
And yet, in the end, Nestor Hernandez did not attempt to flee. He surrendered. But the question lingered, would he have used his own child as a shield if given the chance? Fortunately, authorities acted before the situation could escalate further. Officers swarmed into the hospital room, swiftly overpowering and disarming him. Selena Villatoro remained inside, screaming in shock and pain. Nearby, the baby's bassinet stood splattered with blood, a haunting image of innocence caught in the heart of violence. On the witness stand, Sergeant Robert Rangel gave his account of the events. He had been on the 4th floor that morning on an unrelated assignment, just 2 doors away from the room where the shooting erupted. When the first shot rang out, he recalled, it sounded like a light bulb had burst, a quick, sharp noise that didn't immediately raise alarm. But when 2 more gunshots blasted through the door, there was no mistaking the gravity of the situation. Rangel watched as a wounded nurse staggered past him, leaving a trail of blood on the polished hospital floor. He moved into position, seeking the best possible angle with minimal cover, fully aware of the danger. Moments later, Hernandez emerged from the room and the standoff escalated.
At that point, it's kind of like time had really slowed down. I mean, probably hadn't, but at that time I had already made a decision within myself that a nurse had been shot, and I only knew about one at that time. And I told myself, I'm the only one up here right now. I would glance to see if McCrail or Jaime Hinojosa had made their way up to the floor, but at that point they hadn't. So my mind is telling me, if he comes out of the room empty-handed, I'm going to tell him to, keep his hands up and get up on the floor. And I told myself, if he came out with a pistol, I only had one option, and that was to make sure that he didn't get out past the room with a gun.
Okay, so what did you do?
When I saw him and he was looking out of the room, he had the pistol, and I fired one time at his leg.
Why did you fire at that time?
Because I fired at that time because I feared for my life. I feared that if he came out of the room, that he was going to try to shoot more people.
The sergeant's presence and actions would become pivotal in preventing even greater loss of life that day. Had Sergeant Robert Rangel not been there or failed to act, Nestor Hernandez might have shot his way out of the hospital, taking even more lives. Rangel's swift response likely prevented further tragedy. In the end, Hernandez's attempts to deny responsibility were unconvincing. A jury found him guilty of 2 counts of capital murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At sentencing, loved ones of Jacqueline Peekquat and Annette Flowers gave emotional statements, honoring the lives of the two women and mourning the deep loss their deaths left behind.
Annette devoted her life to taking care of people, just like Jackie did. Everyone in healthcare does. We vow to serve others, even scum like you. After you wreaked havoc that day and stole two beautiful souls who undoubtedly were better human beings and more deserving of life than you will ever be, they still saved your life. I hope every day for the rest of your miserable life, you are haunted by their names, faces, and the legacy that you cut short. Although you don't care about any of that, you've shown no remorse for anything.
On that tragic day, Nestor Hernandez's actions shattered numerous lives. The two women he killed, Jacqueline Peekquat and Annette Flowers, were not only dedicated professionals but beloved mothers, colleagues, and friends. Their loss reverberated through families, workplaces, and the broader Dallas community. The impact extended far beyond the immediate victims. Selena Villatoro will carry the trauma of that day for the rest of her life, and the couple's newborn son enters the world under the shadow of violence and loss. As for Hernandez himself, his fate is sealed. Whether he ruined his own life is a question few will spend time pondering. Jacqueline Peekquat, 45, served in the hospital's social services department. She held a master's degree in social work from the University of Texas at Arlington and had emigrated from Ghana more than 2 decades earlier, maintaining close ties to her family abroad. She is survived by her son. Annette Flowers, 63, was a registered nurse with a 40-year career dedicated to caring for mothers and newborns. A single mother of 4 and grandmother to 4 more, she had spent her life bringing others into the world, only to have her own taken in a place meant for healing. What could have been done differently to prevent a convicted felon from bringing a gun into a hospital? Do you believe justice was truly served in this case? Or is the system still failing victims and their families? If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts below. We cover true crime stories that demand to be told. Your voice matters.